Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Ward from Kalkstein Chiropractic. I'm here with Annie today. Let's start with when you first started coming in, what you had going on, what were some of your complaints, and how did you find yourself in our office, really?
Okay, so I had my wisdom teeth removed 2 years ago now, and they put me all the way out, which is, good, because I get panicked, but they messed up my neck, and ever since I haven't been able to move my neck all the way. I wasn't able to do strengthening exercises the way I used to be able to. I was actually feeling some numbness in my tongue, which had not gone away. I have actually lost taste on this side of my mouth due to the same thing, so it was really sad. And I was recommended to come here by a friend, and they cracked me like a glow stick, but also taught me strengthening exercises, which I think is really important. So not only are they going to fix you up, but they're going to teach you how to keep yourself fixed.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have shown her some exercises to help support the adjustments we do. So if you want to make it simple, like when you talk about getting adjusted or cracked, this area here, this room here is about movement, right? Improving mobility at levels where you're not moving well. The exercise area is about stability, so strengthening and supporting the things that we're doing in here. I think that there's more complex things that happen when we adjust in terms of getting better stabilization to the deeper muscles, bringing more awareness to those muscles, calming down tension in systems or muscle groups. And then when you go out there and you go through movement patterns and you exercise, you start to kind of basically put your body in the positions it should be in, right? And the joints have better support, the muscles are more supportive to those areas, and then it's just a win-win. So, yeah. So let me show you how I work on her. We did a little bit more work on your mid-back last time you were in, so I'm going to show them how we did that as well, just with the trap work. So we'll start on your neck first. There we go. Annie, what do you do for exercise outside of here?
I just go to the gym every other day usually.
So I really recommend that in terms of our exercises that we do here are supportive, and they're great ways to warm up if you're going through your normal routine. So she kind of already mentioned that without even me bringing it up. She uses it as her warm-up. She does them at the gym, and then she goes through the rest of her routine. Go ahead and turn your head this way for me. Good. Rest your hand just like this. Good. Good. Reach across it on my opposite shoulder. Good. Take a breath in. Easy exhale. Let it roll. Good. Now let that shoulder drop. Good. And turn your head to your left for me now. Good. Reach again. Good. Breathe in. More pressure, exhale, close. Good. Get restraints. Relax. Turn your head to your left. Good. And come back to your right all the way. Your head. Good. And relax. Good. Tuck your chin for me. Good, now relax. So, some people get scared, frankly, for the neck adjustment. How does it feel when I do that?
Oh, it's always scary, but
Yeah.
it feels better after.
There you go. All right, when you're ready, you can go on your stomach for me. What's scary about it? Just the movement or just the noise that it creates?
Oh, just the idea that you could be paralyzed from the neck down.
Could be, yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. So the rotation that we do when we do an adjustment, and that's a totally a fair fear because we see movies where people get that manipulation, but it's much different in terms of the pressures and the amount of force in order to create that type of problem, right? So cervical spine manipulation, when it comes to accidents from the adjustment itself, muscle strain and ligament strainer at the top of the list, right? That would be what we would be concerned about with that type of manipulation. The research, and even to put it frankly, the malpractice insurance for a chiropractor is very, very low, right? Our risks are very, very low compared to most medical practitioners, most medical doctors, DOs, etc. So the two biggest fears people have are you're going to break my neck when you do that. No, that's totally different forces. So I'm taking the joint through its natural range of motion, but I'm applying pressure and I'm just doing it quickly, which creates the cavitation. Breathe in for me here. Easy, exhale, relax. Get a little pressure here. Get a little pressure. Good. Take a breath in for me. Easy exhale. Good. And you can imagine, right? That's something that, as chiropractic has become more mainstream, insurance companies as well as just the legislative bodies that kind of run the show behind all this stuff, they want to look into that. They want to look at the risk of those type of things. So they do these big meta-analysis looking for effects of manipulation when it comes to stroke, effects of manipulation when it comes to breaking in the neck, or like an adjustment that would cause paralysis, if you will, right? And both of those risk factors, if you look at a visit between a chiropractor and a visit between a medical doctor, especially in the geriatric population, there's no findings that show that those risks actually happen in the adjustment. So they've done a lot of studies, they've done these big analysis, and you're more likely to have a stroke going to a medical doctor than a chiropractor. What does that really mean? It doesn't mean anything. The likelihoods are in these really, really low percentages, and it's the people that are having, or people that are currently undergoing these like really serious problems, they go see the medical doctor, and that's what's happening. And the same goes true with if you're going to a chiropractor, you have a ton of neck pain, you had this recent trauma, and then they go through this analysis that, oh, the chiropractor adjusts the person, they had their stroke. No, the person was already in the process of having a stroke. There was trauma prior to the visit. There was some cerebral incident prior to the visit. So it's a good thing that you bring up. We don't talk about it a lot because it's kind of like scary to talk about, honestly, right? But it's important that we do.
Well, I think it's important to also remember that you went through years and years of medical training and schooling.
Right.
So you should trust the professionals over the internet.
That's true. That too. Yeah, you don't want to just jump down these rabbit holes of these conversations. Look at the big studies, look at the big research that's been out there, and follow that, right? Go under the data. Data is the king of all this stuff, right? And we're doing a better job of tracking things and seeing what works effectively. You look at the guidelines for pain, it's yoga, stretching, physical therapy, manipulation, stretches. Those type of things are all the primary front guidelines for dealing with this. Now, we don't always do that. You go to a patient first, and what's the first thing that you get, right? Or you go to a medical doctor, you don't always get those things right off the bat, or it's hard to get to those things. So if you're suffering from those things, that should be your primary focus, is getting treatment from a professional in those areas, you know?
Yeah.
Cool. So if you have any questions about those things, or if you want some of those studies that I talked about, post it below, where I can be a little bit more literate about it, describing some of the details of them. I'll be happy to post a video showing that too. Cool. Hey, it's nice seeing you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. See you, everybody.